All right, so we're in here. The Shocker State, of course, and this is Trump and the GE, and this is Ghislaine Maxwell sex trafficking conviction upheld on appeal. Sean P. Diddy Combs is dominating the 24-hour news cycle. He was picked up earlier this week by the feds for racketeering, sex trafficking, and activities involving prostitution. He's recruiting women and others for prostitution, for the purposes of prostitution. And he's being held without bail. His bail has been denied, and everybody's talking about it. At a press conference from the New York Attorney's Office, and I'm assuming a lot of celebrities are on edge as far as will their names be mentioned or will they have to come forward. They're probably making those type of decisions. As we speak, I'm wondering if they're going to be called or implicated, or whether they should come forward in advance to tell what they know, if anything. But lesser known is that that's overshadowed the news involving Ghislaine Maxwell. She was a cohort of Jeffrey Epstein, and she apparently participated in sex trafficking activities involving Jeffrey Epstein. Everybody knows Jeffrey Epstein died of apparent suicide, and he was implicated for running a prostitution ring involving some high-profile people, politicians, princes, and so on and so forth, and that he may have been running a blackmail ring. Once he's getting these people involved in sexual activities with minors, and then he and maybe others use that information to blackmail politicians, and hopefully with the intent of manipulating them and getting them to do stuff. So he died in prison, and it was widely speculated that he would never see the light of day. His testimony would never see the light of day. He would never make it to trial, and he didn't. So a lot of people were potentially off the hook after he died of apparent suicide. And allegedly, Ghislaine Maxwell helped him recruit these teenagers, these minors, for these sexual activities. So she was charged with sex trafficking, given 20 years by a district court, and she appealed it. But this is the news from The Guardian on the appeal, which was denied. It said a federal appeals court on Tuesday upheld the sex trafficking conviction of the former British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell, rejecting her appeal. Maxwell, 62, was arrested in 2020 and charged with involvement in her ex-boyfriend Jeffrey Epstein's sexual abuse of teenage girls. In 2021, Maxwell was found guilty of sex trafficking in a Manhattan federal court trial, where she was convicted on 5 of the 6 charges she faced for having recruited and groomed underage girls for Epstein to abuse between 1994 and 2004. So I think I may have misspoken earlier. I said district court. She was charged in district court. This says she was found guilty of sex trafficking in a Manhattan federal court. Okay, it says, in the new judgment filed on Tuesday at Manhattan's Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals and viewed by The Guardian, the appeals court affirmed and upheld Maxwell's convictions, described her sentence as procedurally reasonable. Maxwell appealed her conviction after she was sentenced in 2022 and has argued that she ought to be immune from prosecution due to a non-prosecution agreement federal prosecutors in Florida arranged with Epstein in 2007. So I actually have the order or the decision from the district court, from the appeals court. It says that, on appeal, the questions presented are whether Jeffrey Epstein's non-prosecution agreement with the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida barred Maxwell's prosecution by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District, and a second superseding indictment on March 29, 2021 complied with the statute of limitations. So she's saying that, I think she's appealed that a non-prosecution agreement with Jeffrey Epstein sort of barred her prosecution in New York. And she questioned the statute of limitations, and they're saying no statute. The statute of limitations will not run out, and any agreement with Jeffrey Epstein down in Florida does not bar her from being prosecuted in New York. So they affirmed the district court's June 2022 ruling. And she could be, if she served her full term, she may not make it out of jail until her late 70s. She could be late 70s or maybe 80 years old. And she was an accomplice to Epstein. Epstein was the main perpetrator, but she was an accomplice in helping him recruit these women, these young girls, and conceal these activities. And this ruling has been overshadowed by the goings on with Sean P. Diddy Combs. However, people could look to this ruling to figure out, well, what does people involved in the racketeering case against Combs, what type of charges do they face? The one difference is that I think Combs has been accused of sex trafficking with adults. This involved minors with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Whether additional charges will come down the pike, who knows? But she got 20 years for being an accomplice. So those are the type of serious charges people face just for being an accomplice. Those are football numbers. So I'm sure people are going to look to that ruling to determine what potential charges they face, and how to defend themselves against potentially being named defendants or co-defendants in the Sean Combs case. So that's Trump and the G. Thank you for listening.